13th Patriarch Master Yinguang. Great Master Yinguang was born in 1861, in Shaanxi Province's Yinguang County, in a Zhao family and was named Shaoyi. When young, he followed his brother to study Confucianism and was inclined to take on propagation of Confucianism as his personal responsibility. Echoing the criticism of Han and O to refute Buddhism. Later, when by sickness besieged for several years, he began to awake to his past wrongdoings. As he suddenly reformed his former thoughts, with his world-transcending conditions matured, he renounced his householder life at Lianwadong Monastery at the southern peak of Mount Zhongnan under Venerable Daochen to become a monk. In the following year, he received full ordination at Shaanxi Province's Ankang County, in Shuangshi Monastery. When Great Master was 6 months old, he had an eye disease and was on the verge of losing his sight. Although he recovered later, his eyesight was already impaired. When slightly reddish, he would then be unable to see. After his renunciation, while at Hubei's Lianhua, Lotus Flower, Monastery, he served as its guest attendant. When he was helping to sun its sutra books, he chanced upon an incomplete version of Longshu's Pure Land text. He then came to know that the Dharma door of mindfulness of Buddha for rebirth in Pure Land is the essential path for liberation from the cycle of birth and death in this immediate life. Whenever the Great Master wrote too much, his eyes would turn red to become bloodshot. Due to this eye disease, he deeply awakened to the body as the root of suffering. Thus, whenever he had free time, he would focus on reciting the Buddha's name, Amatuofo. After the assembly went to sleep at night, he would again arise, to sit and recite the Buddha's name. Even when writing, his mind also did not depart from the Buddha's name. Therefore, although it was strenuous with the disease, he resolutely wrote on, and was still able to, with difficulty. The eye disease later completely healed. Due to this, he had profound faith that the meritorious virtues of reciting the Buddha's name are inconceivable. Then was he with his personal practice transforming others to first be with Pure Land as the destination for return. Due to this, then beginning practice, the Great Master cultivated the Pure Land path over a long time and with complete sincerity. At 26, he arrived at the Pure Land's practice center at Mount Honglo's Zifu Provision of Blessings Monastery to practice mindfulness of Buddha. Within 3 years, other than the main practice of mindfulness of Buddha, he studied the Great Vehicles Sutras. Through wonderful uniting with the Buddha's mind, his cultivation of pure karma greatly advanced. At 33, responding to the invitation of Venerable Wan of Mount Putuo's Feu, Dharma Rain, Monastery to protect the treasury of sutras, he went southwards and resided in an empty room in the Sutra Repository Tower of Feu Monastery. For close to 20 years, he roused his resolve to diligently cultivate, and deeply entered the treasury of sutras. Occasionally, perhaps receiving the monastery's assembly's strong invitation, he would then speak on the Pure Land Sutras. With speaking completed, he would soon after enter a solitary retreat. In his study room, he wrote, with reciting of the Buddha's name awaiting death. With this for self-encouragement, his learning and practice advanced by many folds. After the Great Master's renunciation, for more than 30 years, from the beginning to the end, he concealed his talents. Not delighting in associating with many people, he also did not wish people to know his name. Over a long time, day and night, he upheld Amatuofo's name, and soon attained samadhi from mindfulness of Buddha. In his later years, other than greatly propagating the Dharma, he would at his convenience, have solitary retreats at Suzhou's Beoguo. Repayment of the country, monastery. In 1937, at Suzhou's Mount Lingen to have a mindfulness of Buddha retreat for a spiritual breakthrough. When the Great Master replied to a Japanese person's enquiry about his recent activities, he replied, "Since reaching Lingen, of whatever famous scenic place, of all, I will not go to visit them, with my aspiration hoping to be reborn in Pure Land. Not with famous scenic places bothered thus." This was enough to prove that the Great Master, with all of his life's travels and teachings, and with his conduct propagating the Dharma, was only mindful of impermanence, and resolutely sought rebirth in Pure Land. In 1911, when Great Master was 52, layperson Gao Henian obtained several of Great Master's articles for publication in Shanghai Buddhist Studies Journal, with his signed name as Changjian, constantly ashamed and/or repentant. Although no one knew who he was, yet his words with prajna were already enough to inspire readers' good roots to grow. When Shu Wiru, Zhou Mengyu and many other laypersons saw them, they repeatedly searched and collected Great Master's articles, to be published as Dharma Master Yinguang's collected writings, which was by the commercial press, Zonghua Book Company and the Buddhist circle widely circulated. Great Master's virtuous name, due to this, then became famous locally and overseas. With his collected writings, they truly mark the beginning of the Great Master's propagation of the Dharma. Due to reading of his collected writings, then greatly admiring the Great Master's morality, good men and faithful women who desired to line up by his door and walls to be his disciples, by the day increased to be many, perhaps sailing by sea and climbing steps up mountains, then requesting to be accepted as disciples, or with letters to and fro then requesting to be given Dharma names. In more than 20 years, of those who took refuge through the Great Master, their numbers cannot be counted. Thus, relying on his teachings for practice, of those eating as vegetarians, practicing recitation of the Buddha's name, and diligently cultivating pure karma, men and women who were able to attain rebirth in the Western Pure Land were too numerous to mention one by one. All great bodhisattvas who ride on their vows to come again, are different with those who respond to the occasion, and those who respond to disasters. Those encountering eras of great peace are those responding to the occasion then born. Those encountering chaotic periods are those responding to disasters then born. Within the Pure Land tradition's masters, Great Master Weiyuan and Great Master Yinguang were those responding to disasters then born. The Great Master was born in the Qing dynasty's Shenfang's 11th year, just when the Anglo-French garrison troops attacked and broke through Beijing. Thereafter, there were incessant fights between warlords, Japanese bandits' invasion of China and so on. At this time, with China in chaos and turmoil, and the country's people at that time with worries, suffering and extreme distress, Great Master highly raised the Dharma torch of worldly Dharma for practicing good, and the world. Transcending Dharma of mindfulness of Buddha for seeking birth in Pure Land, to comfort the broken spirits of the country's people. Resolutely and sincerely urging devotees to understand causes, to be cautious of their effects, when in times of emergencies with difficulties, suffering and distress, to sincerely uphold the sacred name of Namo Guanxi in Pusa. Homage to and refuge and contemplator of the world's sounds, Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, to latently eliminate distress and difficulties when they are yet to bud. With the Buddha's teachings pull up those enraging waves already fallen, to reduce and lighten the suffering and difficulties of the people. It is difficult to, with words, speak of his formless and utmost virtues, comparing them with meritorious virtues that can be seen, that can be heard. They are also difficult to be with them inferred. Other than using the formats of words with prajna and teaching of sutras to speak the Dharma for propagating the Pure Land Dharma door, Great Master also established Mount Lingam, Spirit Rock, Monastery as a 10-directional practice center for cultivation of the Pure Land Path, personally and definitively establishing the terms of its constitution. It was truly as this Dharma Ending Age's model monastery. The Great Master even contributed his allowance to encourage others to donate, to widely print sutra books for circulation, founding Hongwashi, Great Transformation Society. For more than 20 years, all kinds of Buddhist books that were printed numbered not less than 4 to 5 million. With more than 1 million pictures of Buddha images, with this propagation of the Dharma to transform, that was voluminous and widespread, in China and beyond. The Great Master was hardworking and frugal all his life, paying attention to cherishing his blessings. His food, clothing, lodging and others were all extremely simple and coarse, as he strongly rejected the exquisite. He ate only to allay hunger, not seeking that to suit his taste. With clothing chosen only to keep out the cold, he rejected the flamboyant. When having offerings of delicious food and beautiful clothing, not only declining and not accepting them, he would then transfer them, to give them to others. If the offered items are ordinary objects, he would then order them to be turned over to the storeroom, with everyone together shared, definitely not with them for personal use. Sprinkling water and sweeping to wash and clean his room, everything was by himself handled. When receiving invitations to go out to speak and teach, although for him preparing a sedan chair, he would also be not willing to sit on it, seeing riding on it as losing his blessings. Thus, the Great Master personally practiced thriftiness. However, when treating people, he was extremely kind. For all good men and faithful women who made offerings to him, he would, all on their behalf, widely plant them in fields of blessings, using them to circulate sutra texts, and to supply relief for the hungry and poor. Whenever hearing of wherever encountering disasters and in states of emergency, he would do his best to promote donations, with compassion sympathizing with sentient beings having suffering and difficulties. It was utmost, without that to be added. Great Master's Pure Land thought, from the above, succeeded the blood lineage of ancient Buddhas and Patriarchs, for the below agreed with the roots and capacities of recent times sentient beings, with word by word returning to the source, word by word foreseeing the truth, truly as a great treasury of bright light that flows to present sincere and true Dharma words. His teachings were granted as a treasure for the present era's sentient beings, that must be urgently discussed and kept in mind. As Great Master knew each Buddhist tradition deeply and widely, his worldly and world-transcending knowledge and learning was deep. And with mindfulness of Buddha's practice already having reached samadhi, thus are his words with the power to gather, receive and protect. That is extremely strong. As Great Master's Pure Land thought is vast and rich, now gathering their essentials, they are as below, briefly presented. With attentive studying of Great Master's collected writings, one can at any time feel Great Master's mind to be with painstaking sincerity and benevolence, for delivering us and other sentient beings, to depart from suffering's ocean of birth and death. From the perspective of correspondence between the Buddha's teachings and sentient beings' roots, Great Master already provided the most excellent choice for us. According to Great Master, medicine is without the noble and lowly, as that which heals sickness is good. The Dharma is without the good and bad, with that suiting capacities then wonderful. In times of the past, humans' roots were excellent, with knowledge abundant like forests. With the cultivating of any one Dharma teaching, all then were able to realize the path. In this immediate world now, with humans' roots coarse and inferior, the knowledgeable are rare and few. If abandoning the Pure Land path, one is then without cause for liberation. The Pure Land Dharma door universally covers those of high, medium and low roots, unifying and gathering all teachings of the Vinaya, Sutra and Chan traditions. It is like timely rain that moisturizes all living beings, and like the great ocean that receives all rivers. Of the partial and complete, sudden and gradual, of all Dharma teachings, none do not from this Dharma realm flow. With the great and small vehicles, skillful and true, of all practices, none do not also return to this Dharma realm, not needing to sever confusions and evil karma, yet attaining in advance the position of one lifetime to replacement, immediately in this one life attain perfect bodhi. If the 9 realms sentient beings depart from this door, those above will not be able to completely accomplish the Buddha's path. If the 10 directions all Buddhas abandon this Dharma teaching, for those below, they will not be able to universally benefit sentient beings. The Pure Land Dharma door is the most wonderful and most profound, with starting of its practice easy, yet with its success rate high, with exerting of efforts little, yet with attaining of results swift. This completely relies on the Buddha's power. Universally covering the 3 roots, regardless of the rich or honored, poor or lowly, old or young, male or female, wise or foolish, monastics or laypeople, of scholars, farmers, artisans, merchants and all other people, as all are able to practice it, all can be reborn in the Pure Land. Thus is it with thousands of sutras and 10,000 treatises, that everywhere point to it for return. Of former nobles and past virtuous ones, everyone inclined towards it. The Pure Land Dharma door is thus truly the essential path of the thus come ones, for universally delivering sentient beings, and the wonderful Dharma for sentient beings too. In this immediate life, exit suffering. In the world of the present, even if ancient Buddhas who have already accomplished right awakening manifest, they definitely will not separately, away from having harmonious human relationships to the utmost fulfilling responsibilities and paying attention to the Pure Land Dharma door, have other teachings that are promoted. Even if Great Master Bodhidharma is present in this period, he will also be relying on this Dharma door with the Buddha's power, for teaching and guiding, with this timing as the cause and condition, and with true existence, absolute reality, as the root. Great Master looked up towards and succeeded Great Master Yangming's instructions of his Chan and Pure Land's fourfold explanations. With it in modern times brought up in detail, he realistically saw, however, that the Chan tradition is not suitable for modern times, as there is the disadvantage of being difficult to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death with it. The Great Master said, of Chan contemplation, this one Dharma door, it is not that easy for nowadays people to learn. Even if learning, also only by memorizing words knowledge, is definitely not able to have sudden understanding of one's mind, to personally see self-nature. Why is this thus? First, thus without a good knowing friend raising on upholding with what choice of focus for contemplation. Second, thus with learners not knowing the purpose of Chan, naming this as Chan contemplation, this truly is a mistake. With the ancients' timely words attached to as the true Dharma, causing later generations' disciples to imitate them, slighting the Buddhas and insulting the Patriarchs, is to pull out effects and expel causes only. Thus knowing that today's people, with Chan and teachings, these 2 Dharma doors, to open their eyes is still difficult, moreover to have true realization. Those who have loving kindness, compassion and aspiration profound, and those with the mind for liberation from the cycle of birth and death sincere, should follow great masters like Wei Yuan, Ji Jie, Yangming and Liangqi, to focus their devoted efforts on mindfulness of Buddha for birth in his pure land, this one Dharma door. It is really so, that with all Dharma doors, they all rely on self-power, while the Dharma door of mindfulness of Buddha relies simultaneously on the Buddha's power. Relying on self-power, if not with afflictions and confusion severed completely, one is not able to surpass, to exit the three realms. Relying on the Buddha's power, if with faith and aspiration true and sincere, then able to highly ascend the 9 lotus grades. Those people nowadays, desiring to, in this present life, end the great matter of birth and death, if renouncing this one Dharma door, are thus absolutely without hope. These earnest and urgent words, that are resolute and decisive, are truly, thus, sincere and truthful words, spoken with the utmost of loving kindness and compassion. That great master propagated Pure Land practice and pushed away the Chan contemplation is really not a sectarian view. It is truly thus, with the benevolent mind of compassion for delivering this Dharma ending age's sentient beings. Of the Chan door, the great master was well informed, also extremely familiar and learned. With focused propagation of the Pure Land tradition, he was also secretly protecting the Chan tradition. If sincerely able to wholeheartedly uphold recitation of Amatuofo's name, from thought to thought corresponding, with mindfulness reaching its utmost point. Without a Buddha to be mindful of, this then is Kaoxi's scenery. Great Master once said, with contemplator of the world's sounds, Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva's skill of reversing hearing to hear self-nature. To cultivate great power arrived, Mahasthamaprapta, Bodhisattva's pure karma of gathering in the 6 roots, for pure mindfulness. In continuous succession, this then is Pure Land yet Chan practice, Chan with Pure Land practice, in principle originally without 2. Yet, of the effectiveness of the Chan tradition depending on self-power, compared with the Pure Land tradition, relying on the Buddha's power to depart from the cycle of birth and death, they are then as different as the sky from the earth. Having relied on the Pure Land tradition's Dharma benefits that are attained easily, promptly and opportunely. Thus was Great Master unwilling to serve as a good knowing friend to support the Chan tradition. Yet with a simple and unadorned style widely propagated the Pure Land tradition. The Great Master's many lay disciples included those who received higher education with studies abroad in Europe and the United States. Yet, the Great Master definitely would not with them. And others have impractical discussions on the philosophy of the Buddha's teachings, on the abstruse wonders of the Chan tradition. He would only encourage each to have the focused mind with mindfulness of Buddha. Those disciples and contemporaries, having heard Great Master's words, also all faithfully accepted to practice it, certainly not daring to slight the Dharma door of mindfulness of Buddha, to give rise to doubts and contentions. From this, it is enough to see Great Master's abundant virtues of personal practice for transforming others. The Great Master was born in a chaotic world, which spoke of unfiliality and impropriety, with extreme clamor that raised the dust. For redeeming from disasters, misfortunes, Great Master greatly promoted Confucian education's 8 virtues of filial piety, fraternal respect, loyalty, trustworthiness, propriety, righteousness, integrity and shamefulness, for human relations with fathers benevolent and children filial, husbands and wives mutually respectful, so as to lead the people's virtues to belong to those pure and honest. On this foundation above, he greatly advocated the Pure Land tradition, and greatly promoted the Buddha's teachings, enabling sentient beings to understand the Buddha nature that they originally possess, to be born in the lotus country of ultimate bliss. great master, within worldly dharma's education to transform, placed extra emphasis on bringing out the Confucian teachings. And within world transcending dharma, leaned towards praise of the Pure Land Dharma. Door. With Confucian teachings as foundation are these 4 lines: to be with harmonious human relationships, to the utmost fulfill responsibilities, end evil thoughts, maintain sincerity, of all evils not do, and of all good practice them. Desiring to learn the Buddha path for liberation from the ordinary and vulgar. If not emphasizing on these 4 lines, is thus like having a tree without roots, hoping it can flourish to be lush, like having a bird without wings, hoping he can fly high. With the Pure Land principle thought as its core are these 4 lines, truly for liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Give rise to the Bodhi mind, and with profound faith and aspiration, uphold the Buddha's name. Thin grounds ordinary beings, desiring to in this present life, immediately be liberated from the cycle of birth and death, if not relying on these 4 lines, thus become those without the cause yet desiring the fruit, yet to plant yet thinking of harvesting, of 10,000 people, it is without reason for anyone to attain thus. If able to, with these 8 lines, completely bear them, all definitely can be born to enter the land with noble and virtuous ones, in the end ascending to the country of ultimate bliss. These 8 lines words fully embody and exemplify great masters' combined propagation of the 2 teachings of Confucianism and Buddhism, with worldly and world transcending dharma, each manifesting their special characteristics. This kind of dharma propagation is the Pure Land tradition's prompt and opportune localization in recent times. The great master's life encountered a period of successive wars with misfortunes bound, with outer worries and inner difficulties. Then with floods and droughts as natural disasters, simultaneously coercing and repeatedly arriving. The great master, with his compassionate mind sorrowful, widely advocated speaking of karmic retribution. He often said, that law of cause and effect, i.e. karma, is for worldly and world transcending sages, to peacefully govern the world, and the great skillful means for delivering and liberating sentient beings. In the world nowadays, if not with the promotion of karmic retribution, although the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas and noble sages together arise in the world, they will also not know what else is appropriate. Promoting the law of cause and effect is the urgent task for saving the country and saving its people. There must be an enabling of everyone to all know that if presently having such a cause, the future will then have such an effect, as doing good has good rewards, and doing evil has evil retribution. If desiring to rescue the ways of the world and the minds of its people, it must be from this starting. Thus then with promoting of karmic retribution, then looking up towards and succeeding the minds of the heavens and earth's sages. With this accomplishing completely the morality of the world's people, to be with benevolence and righteousness. Discussing on the Buddha's teachings, from ordinary beings' ground, and even to the Buddha fruit, all Dharma teachings are all not outside of cause and effect. Worldly Dharma teachings are likewise thus. The Book of Changes and Book of History are extremely truthful and sincere in bringing out the meanings of cause and effect clearly. Often seeing ignorant and foolish people, having done slight good, then expecting great blessings. Once encountering adversity, then saying doing good obtains misfortune, that there is no cause and effect, from this retrogressing and regretting their initial minds. Slandering the Buddha's teachings instead. How would they know that karmic effects, rewards and retribution thread through the 3 periods past, present and future, that all created karma, is definitely without that not with reward and retribution? At the same time, cause and effect, i.e. karmic destiny, can also due to the mind be transformed. For example, a person who has created evil karma, should for a long time fall into hell, for long kalpas receiving suffering. If that person later gives rise to great shame in the great Bodhi mind, changes his evil ways and cultivates good, recites sutras and the Buddha's name, with personal practice transforming others, seeking birth in the Western Pure Land, due to this thus, in this present life, perhaps by people slighted and scorned, perhaps slightly attaining sickness and suffering, perhaps briefly receiving poverty, with all those matters not according to wishes. Those earlier created karma to long fall into hell for long kalpas receiving suffering, will immediately then be eliminated, and still again, be able to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death, to surpass the ordinary and enter the noble. Yuan Liaofang warily and cautiously cultivated good karma for all of his life, and changed his fixed karma to recast his destiny. This then fully exemplifies humans' nature of taking initiative with regard to destiny, that so-called humans' power is able to conquer nature. With earlier causes not enough to be relied on, with present causes goodness power then eliminating earlier causes. That disasters and blessings are without doors, only by people personally attracted, this is true and not false. The great master painstakingly warned the world's people to have fear of evil karmic effects. Otherwise, they will have to be prepared to be filled with evil causes, and their evil effects. Diligently cultivating good causes, then together attaining good rewards. Furthermore, encouraging all people, with all that cultivated good, to not seek future life's blessed rewards, in the human and heavenly paths. Only with them dedicating for seeking birth in the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss. To be forever liberated from rebirth's ocean of suffering, then with this for completing. Practice. Great Master while living, distributed several million copies of Anshi's complete book, Liaofan's 4 Lessons, and many other books. This is enough to see Great Master's compassionate mind for strong promotion of understanding cause and effect. Sincerity and reverence are truly the extremely wonderful secret for surpassing the ordinary and entering the noble. To be liberated from the cycle of birth and death, those sincere will be focused and single-minded. Those reverent will be with minds neither drifting nor scattered. With wholeheartedness utmost with reverence, thus will concentration's power by the day strengthen, false thoughts by the day be eliminated, and pure karma by the day grow. If lazy without the slightest reverence, although planting a distant cause, yet having the transgression of irreverent slighting, this has consequences which cannot be imagined. If desiring to attain the Buddha's teachings' true benefits, we must, with reverence, seek them. Having one part of reverence, thus eliminates one part of transgressive karma, increasing one part of blessings and wisdom. Having 10 parts of reverence, thus eliminates 10 parts of transgressive karma, increasing 10 parts of blessings and wisdom. If without reverence, yet leading to irreverent slighting, thus will transgressive karma increase even more, and blessings and wisdom decrease even more. The Great Master, for Wu Bihua, in a letter said, "There is one secret for success, to reach Pure Land, to earnestly inform one another. It is to have wholehearted sincerity and utmost reverence, which is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful." With wholehearted reverence mindful of the Buddha, it should be known that this person is no longer the Saha world's long-staying guest, and already is the land of ultimate bliss esteemed guest. With sincere reverence and shame, they have the effectiveness of mutually supporting each other. Able to personally have shame, giving rise to the repentant mind. With the repentant mind arisen, sincere reverence will follow it. If able to every day have shame, and constantly repent, then with the mind of sincere reverence abundant thus, none cannot be tamed. with it actively manifesting in the present. Then with true faith, sincere aspiration and diligent practice, without expectation, yet definitely with naturally gathered power. With the mind of shame, breaking ignorant desires, with wisdom's light, seeking the return path. The great master suited our sickness to prescribe the right medicine. With himself setting an example, he called himself constantly ashamed, and/or repentant, monk. With limitless compassion, granting this as a good plan for this Dharma-ending age's sentient beings. Great Master's Pure Land thought is also with much on having the mind of joy and revulsion, with the aspiration to depart from the Saha world. Like a prisoner desiring to exit prison, absolutely without the mind of reluctance and attachment. With aspiration for birth in the Western Pure Land. Like a passing guest missing home, with the wish to return to one's homeland. How can one have the thought of wasting time? Wholeheartedly with the body and mind taking refuge, relying on Amatuofo. Amatuofo has great power. That is able to pull out the Saha world's bottomless cesspits unpardoned prisoners, to directly depart from within. With all resettled in the homeland of ultimate bliss, enabling them to enter the Buddha's realm, with that the same is what the Buddha benefits from. Great Master's Pure Land thought is extensive, great and rich. From within, it can be seen and known, that Great Master's ordinary style of teaching and transforming is pure, concise and to the point, yet never unfathomable. Although extensively proficient in the three treasuries and worldly learning, yet from the extensive returning to the crucial, all with mindfulness of Buddha as refuge. With regard to recent generations' resurgence of the Pure Land tradition, his merits are extremely great. The Great Master gathered past patriarchs' virtuous conduct into his one body, arose in this world, to greatly propagate the Dharma to transform. Giving sentient beings within disasters and difficulties, a raised and never extinguishing Dharma torch. More than half a century later today, his collected writings' Dharma words, character and demeanor still possess profound power to teach, transform and gather. We, this Dharma-ending age's ordinary sentient beings, also should bear in mind Great Master's instructions. To be mindful of the Buddha, for seeking birth in his Pure Land. Hopefully, not letting down Great Master's compassionate mind, of riding upon his vows to come again. The Great Master was indifferent to fame and wealth for all of his life. He was simple and unadorned, with nothing unusual. When interacting with people coming and going, he would not discuss with abstruse and witty words, on supernormal powers, the unusual and special. All were with mostly ordinary words, with fame and gain not on his mind. Of numerous examples, here are some listed. First, in 1922, when Great Master was 62, the current President Shu inscribed and bestowed a horizontal plaque with the words, "With awakening penetrative, complete and bright," and officially sent it to Mount Puto, with incense and flowers making offerings. It was an extremely large-scale event at that time. The Great Master handled it with detachment calmly. When being congratulated, the Great Master replied that, "It is like a pavilion in empty space. As I am personally without true virtues, and feel repentant endlessly, where did the glory come from?" The day after, there was not again another word mentioned about the plaque. Second, before Great Master approached life's end for rebirth, he sent a letter to Dharma Master Daisen stating, "As Yinguang is without true virtues. If with praises eulogizing Yinguang, this is then collecting excrement, on Yinguang's head above piling it. I request that you with all those having affinity, to speak of this." Third, Shanghai Girls Senior Middle School had a student named Yang Xinfang, who in a dream, experienced contemplator of the world's sounds bodhisattva teaching, pointing out that Venerable Yinguang is great power-arrived bodhisattva's manifestation body. She immediately went to Suzhou to pay respects to him. to tell him about this dream. The great master reproached and said, "Do not blindly speak. Do not blindly speak, with the ordinary abusing the noble. This attracts others' slander. Of this dream, furthermore, I do not allow you to speak of it to others. Otherwise, you are not my disciple." The above-mentioned 3 examples are only a few of great masters' innumerable, ordinary, examples of his indifference to fame and wealth for all of his life. From them, it can be proven and known that his virtuous conduct is not that average persons can hope to reach. With a generation's patriarch's model demeanor, within the ordinary, he expressed his brilliance. On his knowing in advance the time of his departure for Pure Land, there were many traces of evidence. In the 1940s winter, the great master manifested slight illness. He quickly ordered the ceremony for Dharma Master Miaogen's ascent to the abbot's seat. On the 3rd day's night, Great Master to the Great Assembly taught, "The pure Dharma door is without any other unusual or special requisite, only needing earnestness." With utmost sincerity, in mindfulness of Amatuofo name, with which there is none not receiving the Buddha's reception and guidance, to bring one's karma to be reborn, in his pure land, on the 4th day's morning at 1:30 a.m., from his bed he arose and sat, saying, "With mindfulness of the Buddha, seeing the Buddha, one will definitely be born in his Western Pure Land." Having spoken completely, he immediately loudly recited the Buddha's name. At 2:15 a.m., the great master sat beside his bed and asked for water. After washing his hands, he stood up and said, receiving Amatuofo's reception and guidance, "I am departing now. Everyone must be mindful of the Buddha, must give rise to aspiration, and must be born in his Western Pure Land." After he finished, he then sat upright on a chair, and moved his lips slightly to recite the Buddha's name. At around 3 a.m., when Venerable Miaogen arrived, the great master instructed, "You must maintain this place for realizing the path. You must propagate the Pure Land tradition. Do not imitate those with exaggerated manners." Thereafter, not again speaking, only with lips moving to recite the Buddha's name. This went on until 5 a.m. Like entering meditative concentration, as if smiling. Within the Great Assembly's recitation of the Buddha's name, he was serenely reborn. The Great Master was 80 years old, and had been ordained for 60 years. On the 15th day of the 2nd month the next year, 100 days after Great Master manifested departure, a cremation ceremony was held. More than 105 colored sariras, relics, were obtained, which were refined, round, bright and clear, also having big and small sarira flowers, blood sariras and others, together with more than 1,000 pieces. Disciples of the Fourfold Assembly enshrined them in a relic pagoda at the southeast of Mount Lingyan's Shigu. The Great Master was diligent with cultivation of pure karma for all of his life. His last, continuing action, having already appeared with birth in the Western Pure Land's auspicious signs, with them bequeathing examples, was moreover to leave sariras for revealing the Dharma body's indestructible forms. This is enough to prove that the Great Master has great compassion for delivering sentient beings, with his inexhaustible great vows. He was later honored by the world as the Pure Land tradition's 13th Patriarch. Great Master's writings include Dharma Master Yinguang's collected writings 1st, 2nd and 3rd compilations, the Bingzi Years, 1936, Cessation of Disasters Dharma Words and others, with them still circulating in the world today.